All right, Legacy Sports fans, I am here. It is me, Parker Killian, and I am here with Built by Sports podcast built by fans who were built by sports. And I am excited today to talk about the Orlando Magic and their offseason preview. Um, the Orlando Magic, as I've done my research over the last few days, has become one team that I am excited to see this upcoming season. I'm excited to see in the future as they continue on this rebuild that they're currently on. Very intriguing cast of characters that they have here. And I want to talk about what I would do if I were in the GM's office with the GM of the Orlando Magic, what I would suggest be the future path for this team. Um, as we get into it, make sure you comment down below with your own thoughts. Talk about what you see the Magic doing in the future to become a future championship team. And let me know if you're an Orlando Magic fan. Let me know if you're excited for this team, as I'm starting to be excited as I see that this is a very intriguing young team and has a promising future ahead of them. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you like, subscribe this video so that this can reach more people and we can start building a community here at Built by Sports. I will be right with you to talk about the building of the Orlando Magic after our 30-second buzzer. All right, sports fans, let's start off by going over what I just said. The Orlando Magic have a very promising young group of characters to build around, and this is my main point of going to be my main point of the video. Do not waste this young cast of characters. Immediately get them into a position where they can compete, where they can be able to grow from success and learn from early failures. Failure is also a very big key in building a championship team. Obviously, every team has gone through the failures early on in order to reach greatness in the future. And this is what you want your team to be. You don't want to be a team that's continually losing and trying to grab new assets and young assets. You need to pick a time and start competing. And I think, honestly, the sooner the better. Let's go over here to this graphic where we'll talk about the first 2 points for the Orlando Magic rebuild. Number one, the Orlando Magic need to find their identity. I think this is something Orlando fans know well, and even the knowledgeable fans around the league know the Orlando Magic have been in a bit of an identity crisis with Vucic and Augustine in the past. They were always kind of that middle of the road competing team, but never with the outlook of championship contender. And they kind of just stuck around and stuck around, and finally they made the right decision in blowing it up and beginning this rebuild. I think it's in the long run going to bring forth bigger and greater things for the Orlando Magic. And what they need to do is not to be so long lasting or complacent this time around with their building of this team. They need to strike fast and get competitive ASAP. That brings me to my second point. The Orlando Magic need to compete with this young core as soon as possible. No more number one in the picks. No more, if you can help it, lottery picks. Try to get to the playoffs as soon as you can. Why do I say this? I say this because look at who's in the finals right now. Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart. They were very young when they first made it to the playoffs, and that is because they had a cast around them built by Danny Ainge and the Celtics that allowed them to be competitive early. Yes, they had failures, and yes, we started to doubt uh, their destiny early on because they failed when they were young. But look at them now because of their experience and because they've been through those moments. Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, they're leading the Celtics closer and closer to a finals championship and maybe supplanting this Celtics team in history as a championship team. Very exciting for them. Something we want to see Orlando do soon in the future. How do they do that? They start off with getting an identity. How do they do that? First and foremost, you have the draft coming up where you have the number one overall pick. Very huge for the franchise, very exciting for you fans in Orlando. Let me know down below who you think they're going to take. I personally think they need to take Chet Holmgren in this pick. Nothing against Jabari Smith, but he is not an identity center, in my opinion. He's a great player. He's going to be sky's the limit for Jabari Smith, but Chet Holmgren is an identifier of a team. He's the face of a team, and the Orlando Magic coming in with a 7-foot Durant skill wing player, if you will, is something that's going to be a matchup nightmare for other teams. When you see the Magic on the schedule in the future, the first thing that's going to come to your mind is Chet Holmgren, Jalen Suggs, and Wendell Carter Jr. What are we going to do? And Franz Wagner, honestly. Um, what are we going to do to deal with that collection of powerful pieces? That's an identity, and the Magic currently don't have that. Currently, I mean, this last season, we could say the Magic were a team where if you saw them on the schedule, you'd be excited because it's like, okay, nothing too big to worry about there. We just need to play our game, and we're going to come out with a W. But with Chet Holmgren, it throws a wrench in it. Can we stop him? If we do stop him, is the cast around him going to step up and take that win from us? That's something the Orlando Magic need to do in the draft, and I think that's going to start to build this new era for the Orlando Magic, even uh, build this excitement even further that they have going. That being said, their second big move to compete as soon as possible. They need to cut some of the limbs off this tree that they're building, and some of it's going to hurt. Some fans are going to be saddened to see some of their fan favorite players go, but it's necessary, and it's honestly um, vital as a building organization to not pause and hesitate. If you hesitate, you die in a game, and honestly, in the larger game of building teams in the NBA, I think if you hesitate, then you're gonna lose. This is how the Orlando Magic, in my opinion, will avoid that tragic mistake of hesitating and holding on too long to pieces that aren't going to be part of their future. And to say this, I'm going to say release Mo Bamba. Not release him, but let him go. Let him go into free agency. I know this is going to be a little bit hard for some fans to swallow, but with Isaac Carter and um, Chet Holmgren as very tall players in the league, you don't need another very uh, talented and expensive big in your on your bench um, on this team. Instead, you can have a very valuable a very useful backup instead of Mo Bamba, who's going to be a little more expensive and a little more uh, needing more time. He's going to want time. He's going to want to take up space, and it's not going to overall be healthy for this organization to move forward with so many big pieces on their roster. So in my opinion, let Mo Bamba go. It's going to be hard, but in the long run, I think it's going to be what's best for the team. Second, I am going to try and say our thanks to Gary Harris by re-signing, but also setting up for a trade, sending him off to a competitive team. It's time to move on from Gary Harris. We've had good. Orlando has had good years with him, but there needs to be a time where you're saying this is a new identity team, and we're moving on from the past. Gary Harris, I I have thought about as an option, a bold option, and maybe possibly not a probable option, but I would say possible option is to send our uh, our breakout and shining young Cole Anthony, who, like I said, has broken out this last season, but and has shown that he has a position in this league. Um, but he is small and he is inefficient. He's not going to be a key uh, piece in the future of this Orlando Magic team or part of its true identity. At best, he would be a sixth or seventh man on the roster, and he's just not quite the fit that the Orlando Magic need in the cast of characters that they are developing. So you grab Cole Anthony and you re-sign and trade Gary Harris, and whatever else it takes to acquire Jalen Brunson from the Dallas Mavericks. My bad. Jalen Brunson. Everyone saw him in his last playoffs. He established who he is as a player in the NBA, and he, as a Jazz fan, I can safely say, led the Mavericks past the Utah Jazz in the first round and sent the Jazz home early. He was the key contributor to the loss of the Utah Jazz, a well-established team in the West, and just an impressive feat for Jalen Brunson. It proves that he can compete in the playoffs, that he is an established, perhaps not a star, even though if he goes to Orlando Magic, he has a good chance of being an all-star. But he's an established point guard. Jalen Brunson helps in both key aspects of the Orlando Magic rebuild. He helps in creating an identity of competitiveness and strategic complexity to the Orlando Magic early on, but also a competitive nature as soon as possible. They're going to start winning with Brunson at point guard and Chet Holmgren as their new rookie. With the other key pieces that they have on this roster, they're going to start winning, perhaps not playoffs right away. Perhaps they will. I think this team has the ability to explode early, and if they can do that, then they can gain the experience as soon as possible that they need to become a legitimate threat in the East and legitimate threat in this league. And yeah, so that is my overview and preview of the Orlando Magic offseason. Let me know what you think. Am I off base in some of these thoughts that I have for the Orlando Magic? What do you think the Orlando Magic are going to do? What would you do if you were the GM of the Orlando Magic? Let us know in the comments, like and subscribe if you want more content. We're going to go and preview other teams in the for this off season in the NBA. Try to do all of the teams, and it's going to be a fun experience for us. Please join us in that experience, and thank you for watching this. We'll see you next time. This has been Built by Sports. Thank you.